Welcome, everybody, to another edition of OA News Overtime. I'm Jordan Hill with Justin Lee and Jake Weiss.
And Jake Weiss, a backwards, upside down, reverse and sideways edition of the podcast.
Of the OA News Overtime podcast. Yeah, we're doing a little bit different this week because we have a kind of longer interview. Our friends at the Bryan College Station Eagle, Travis Brown, Robert Cessna, they took some time, and we both, all four of us, really talked about the
Everyone
matchup.
except Jake.
Yeah, Jake was not invited.
Yeah, we all Zoomed together, so we've got like 20 minutes of that, and we're going to slap that on here, and we're going to call that a podcast.
That'll be the end of it. And
no, it's a good conversation. Everybody will like it.
It was very informative, I really think, for both sides.
Someone brought up the big Texas monkey story, and it wasn't me. What an upset.
I know. I owe Jake $20. We made that bet before the Zoom.
It was fun. But so what we're going to do is we're going to do our picks first.
Actually, first, the Atlanta Braves won the World Series.
The Braves won the World Series, Jake. Thoughts?
I was happy for Jordan.
That was very nice. Jake was very nice. Justin was very nice.
Winning big in Game 6. We're working on trying to do a big commemorative edition here in the Thursday edition. So if you haven't got this, comes out on Thursday. So there you go. Go get it.
Go get the paper. Yeah, it was.
Hopefully we're still working on it, but hopefully it comes out and it looks good.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And hey, it's fun to be a fan sometimes.
Yeah, man.
Who'd have thought? It's been a while.
What a time, right?
It was great. It was such a great experience.
Jordan wrote a great column. You should definitely read it.
Appreciate it.
It's still on oanow.com. Just about, like everyone in this part of the country. Jake's from Texas. He doesn't know. But everyone from here, the Braves are family. And, that's just how it is. And it's the only pro sports team that really has a grapple on people here, I feel like, especially here in the Auburn area.
For sure.
But it really does. And, me and Diamond were looking at the map, and it's like to find another team, you have to go all the way to Houston or up to down to Tampa.
But and those
or
teams
up to DC.
And those teams in Tampa weren't there. That was the 90s before they got there, and Washington didn't have a team until 04.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And my favorite thing on Twitter has been I've said, everyone in the Southeast has some random Braves cup in their cupboard, and I had some people tweet me their random Braves cup. So if you haven't done that yet, let me see it. I want to see it because everyone's got one.
This morning I was drinking orange juice from my NLCS cup.
There you go.
By God, it happened. And it will continue to happen.
Yeah, but man, how special for a lot of people, whole lot of people.
Great times. It was a great experience.
Tumors was rolled big time. It's just a big deal for a lot of people.
A big deal, and I was glad to take it in with Jake and with Justin and a bunch of other buddies on the beat. That was fun.
We had a good time.
That was fun. You know what else is fun?
What else is fun?
Being wrong about football.
Yeah!
We're about to do that right now.
Let's get into it.
We're going to do our real expert picks. I don't have the standings from last week, but rest assured we're all pushing each other, and we just want to go 1-0, man.
Yeah, we're just going one game at a time. We're all day today.
Got to go 1-0 now because it's the playoffs. High school playoffs are starting.
Right.
Let's start with 7A Daphne at Central Phoenix City. I think that Central's going to roll.
Central
wins.
Baker at Auburn High. Auburn.
HS. Yes.
Northridge at Opelika. Truthfully, I'd never heard of Northridge till this game, so I'm going to go with the Bulldogs.
Opelika
too. All right, we're rolling through these.
This one's going to be interesting. Tallahassee at Greenville. I'm going to kind of go with the upset. I'm going to go with Tallahassee.
I got to agree with you, Tallahassee.
Oh, my gosh. Are we all on the Tigers? Which team has Jalen Daniels? Tallahassee. He's playing. Look, man, he's playing well. He's playing well. Oh, they are?
Yeah.
No,
what do you know?
That's a shame.
Jalen Daniels, Tigers.
Jalen, a player of the week candidate, the winner the first week of the season, a player of the week candidate this week. We'll make you wait to find out.
Yeah, who won? Who won? Who knows?
Who knows? Who could say?
Reeltown at Op. We're going to go with the fighting Justin Ferguson's. We're going with Op.
Reeltown.
Is Op a 2 seed and Reeltown a 3?
I believe so, yes.
I'm going to pick Reeltown because Reeltown is a sneaky good team. I've been saying it all season. I'm going to pick Reeltown to go up there and win that game.
Dadeville at Slocum. I like Dadeville, but I'm going to go with Slocum.
Slocum.
Lafayette at Ayrton. Is that how you say that?
I have no idea.
Well, that's who I'm going with.
Lafayette.
Probably Ayrton.
Yeah.
Ayrton.
Geneva County at Lynette.
Man, where is that?
I have no idea. Geneva County at Lynette. Got a big story coming out in the next few days about Lynette that I hope you guys all read. Yep. And I'm going with the Panthers.
Lynette.
Number 1 ranked. They moved up in the ASWA poll just released today.
Class 2A, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. The Lynette Panthers are going to roll.
Bessemer Academy at Lee Scott. Lee Scott's already played them once, beat them once. I say they go get them twice. Lee Scott.
Give me Lee Scott.
If only we had some sort of evidence as to what team is better.
Who could say?
Lee Scott.
All right, Glenwood at Morgan Academy. It's going to be tough. I think Morgan Academy is going to put the Gators out of the playoffs.
I'll take Morgan Academy as well.
Tough season for Glenwood, and they have 4 losses, all 4 to top 10 teams. And not only that, 3 of them are to all the top 3. But, man, sometimes things just aren't going your way, and that just might be their season. I think Morgan Academy will win.
To the college games, we're going to go to Michigan State at Purdue. I think that Michigan State's going to maintain its spot at number 3. I'm going to pick the Spartans.
Oh, boy.
I'll take the Spartans as well.
Oh, my gosh. This would be a perfect time for them to just lose to Purdue, and everyone's like, Big Ten. What's the spread, you think?
I haven't looked at it, truthfully. Why would, gambling, that's just
Yeah,
beyond
entertainment purposes only.
me. Yeah.
I'll go Michigan State.
Mississippi State at Arkansas. I'm going to say Mississippi State keeps it rolling. I'm going to pick the Bulldogs.
I'll take Arkansas, but just because they're at home.
Man, Mississippi State beat the brakes off of Kentucky. And I think they're favored in this one. Ooh. Man, I don't know. I haven't thought about these.
Neither have I.
What?
You got to shoot from the hip, man.
Has Arkansas had a bye week?
Oh, we got a caller coming on.
The caller. You're on the air.
You're on the air.
I'll pick Arkansas. Maybe things aren't that bad. I feel like Arkansas had a bye. Both these teams might have had a bye week.
No, Mississippi State just beat Kentucky.
Arkansas coming off the bye.
All right,
They didn't play.
I don't think so. Yeah, because there was a few SEC teams who didn't.
Picking Arkansas.
Tennessee at Kentucky. I'm really tempted to pick Tennessee, but I'm going to go with Kentucky.
Wildcats. You know who I'm picking.
Yeah, I'll pick Kentucky. I guess the parity is just not there in the SEC this year.
Florida at South Carolina. Surely it's not that bad for Dan Mullen yet. I'm picking Florida.
Sure.
If he loses this game, he's fired. You
Yeah.
can just go ahead. He is fired with a capital F.
Yeah. UF. Yeah, I'll pick Florida.
All right, the big game that I'm going to be at on Saturday, Auburn at Texas A&M.
Let's talk about this one a little bit.
Yeah.
Before we pitch to our conversation with the good people in
with
College
our
Station.
colleagues,
Yeah,
with our Eagle colleagues.
What are we thinking, Jake? Jake, start us off because we've said our piece so often. We talked about it even in the post game, podcast. What are you thinking coming into this one?
I really think Auburn. I don't think it'll be a runaway, but I just think Auburn.
What's class like, Jake? What are the students? Are they confident? How they feel? Listen, just based on Twitter, which is a small, also insane sample size, Auburn fans are riding high right now. It seems like. What is it like on campus?
It's the same on campus. Saturday, people loved it. People loved the orange lights. They love the orange face masks. I think students are pretty pumped for the rest of the season. Even though Auburn's already got a couple of losses.
Yeah.
Orange face masks, orange light show. That'll win you over. That'll win you over.
Aren't you glad that you go to Auburn?
So,
it's just,
so they're back after the Georgia game, after all that. Yeah. They're back. Okay. All right. What are we thinking? What are we thinking about this Auburn team?
I always look back to, I know it's been a couple seasons, but I always look back to Bo Nix's freshman year, 2019. They went into Kyle Field. Mm-hmm. Auburn won. And, I know since then a lot of talk's been about how Bo Nix plays on the road. Mm-hmm. Well, that's kind of the game I look at, and I'm like, well, even back then he was just a freshman, and he still helped Auburn win. Mm-hmm. I kind of think Auburn's going to do it again. I don't really think Kyle Field's going to be too scary or spooky for Auburn. I think Auburn wins this. I don't think it'll be a runaway, but I'm not really nervous about Auburn's chances in this one.
Wow.
very
6.5 point dogs.
very detailed thoughts.
And Auburn fans are just convinced that they're just gonna roll through there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Jordan, but I'm gonna pick Auburn. But we've talked about it and obviously this was obviously other people have other opinions, but for me, last week Auburn playing Ole Miss. Yes, they're Ole Miss, but you're at home, coming off a bye at night. You should win that game. All you did, in my mind, was hold serve. Now, I know a lot of Auburn fans are riding high. I know a lot of them are like, we're going to the playoffs. But all you did was hold serve. That's just how it is. It's a game you shouldn't have lost, and you didn't lose it. So now I look at Texas A&M, and my thing is they're coming off a bye. They're at home. Reason I'm picking Auburn is because the game's at 2:30.
Yeah.
That might be the only reason. If it was at 6 p.m., which is the time slot they beat Alabama.
Yeah. There'd be hype.
Yeah, it'd be hype, and I'm sure it'll be hype here too. That 2 years ago, I feel like, was that an 11 a.m. game? It feels like it was.
I don't know.
I thought it was afternoon, but
It was certainly
CBS.
daytime.
It was CBS.
You think?
For sure.
All right, well, that's this one then. So, yeah. But I remember Auburn went there. Boobie Willow had a great game. They just kind of took the crowd out of it. I think they could do that again.
I think that was CBS, like a 2:30. I think
It was either 11 or 2:30.
Yeah.
Because it didn't.
I remember daylight and Kellen Mond. Two things: daylight and Kellen Mond.
That's all we remember. The rest of it was a blur.
Yes.
But yeah, I look at that. I say, hey, it's not at night, and then I look at, their quarterback situation has been dicey this whole time. They've had rotten luck with people getting hurt. I was telling Jordan, like, this guy, they beat South Carolina in a rout, but he was still like 12 of 24
with Zach Calzada,
maybe with an interception.
He didn't win the quarterback battle coming into the year, so
right.
And King got hurt.
Right. It's a tricky deal, and it's like, but I mean, the path is there for Auburn to get to that winner-take-all Iron Bowl, and if you do that, you can't look past that. But that's a Sweet 16 game in the college football playoff.
Yep,
it really is, and so yeah. It's looking up for. I think you might be catching Texas A&M at not the right time, even though they are coming off a bye. This might be the right time to play them, especially with Auburn with the confidence coming after Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm.
So
and Owen Papo back.
Owen Papo, yeah.
TD Moultrie back.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good to me.
We'll see, man. It's gonna be. I don't know. It's gonna be harder than I think a lot of the fans are expecting.
I mean, that's fair.
What do you think? All right, let's do our pick then. I guess, Jordan.
I'm picking Auburn. I feel pretty good. I think it'll be close, but I'm saying 24-19. Auburn finds a way to get a big win in College Station.
24-19. Oh, what do you got, Jake? You already picked Auburn, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I didn't give a score.
Yeah, you don't got to give a score if you don't. I just remembered mine. It's not.
Yeah, I can't really think of a score. It'll be close, but I don't think Auburn. I think it'll be kind of like the Ole Miss game. Auburn will be comfortable most of the game.
All right, I'll pick Auburn 30-24. Come up with some defensive. Win that turnover battle and you win the game.
Yeah.
2-1, 1-0. Whatever you got to do. Win the turnover battle, and I think Auburn wins this game. And right now, Bo's playing extremely well. You hope he doesn't have an interception. Everyone's holding on to the ball lately. So, yeah, win the turnover battle and you win the game, I think. I still don't know if that means Auburn is like a top 8 team. I don't know. But all that matters is one game at a time. So, we'll see.
Well, let's throw it to where we got a little bit more in depth about both teams, to Travis and Robert, those guys at the Eagle. Pretty fun conversation, and hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did.
What's going on, everyone? I'm Travis Brown with the Bryan College Station Eagle. We have a Lee Enterprises group hangout here. Thanks, Lee. Our sister paper of the Opelika-Auburn News, Justin Lee and Jordan Hill are joining us. Also, we have Robert Cessna down there from the Eagle. It's going to be great times talking Texas A&M and Auburn this week in a little sister paper joint venture we like to have here. Guys, Jordan, Justin, what's going on?
Not much. Just getting ready for another big game. Looking forward to this. Will be the first time I've ever been to Kyle Field, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh wow, cool.
It's going to be a good one. Well, we'll start with both of y'all from the Auburn perspective, and either one of y'all can jump in or both of y'all can jump in. What is the biggest storylines? What's the biggest thing that Auburn fans are watching in this matchup coming up this weekend?
Well, I'll tell you right now. What's up, guys? How's it going? The biggest thing that Auburn fans are doing is looking ahead right now to a winner-take-all Iron Bowl. That's what everyone's looking at from the Auburn perspective. And that's what that's what that Ole Miss win meant to them. And it's something I've been thinking about kind of all day is just and this week I've been thinking, Auburn beat Ole Miss when they were at home in a big game coming off of a bye, and now suddenly the shoe's on the other foot going to Texas A&M. Texas A&M is coming off of a bye hosting Auburn. And this is where, me and Jordan, every single week, it's like, we're going to learn more about this Auburn team. Auburn's crazy. We'll never know. We'll never know what Auburn's going to do. But every week it's like, we'll learn more this week. So here we are again saying, hey, we're going to learn more this week. But yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing is, because of Texas A&M's win over Alabama, Auburn knows if Auburn goes there and wins, all it has to do is split with South Carolina and Mississippi State, just win one of those games, and the Iron Bowl could be winner take all for the SEC West, which is that's what every Auburn fan is eyeing right now.
And sort of to jump off of what Justin was just saying, I mean, everything right now seems to be trending up for Auburn. Bo is probably playing the best. Bo Nix, the quarterback's probably playing the best stretch of ball in his career. The defense, we heard, all week, and rightfully so, about the Ole Miss offense, how they're going to go for it on fourth down. Ole Miss went 1 for 4 against Auburn defense and scored the lowest amount of points since Lane Kiffin got to Oxford. Everything's trending up, and I'll ask this question to you guys. Justin also kind of hit on this as well. The shoe's sort of on the other foot for Auburn playing this Texas A&M team, who's won 3 in a row, sitting there 6-2, and obviously got that big win against Alabama. What sort of y'all's feel for this Aggies team, where it stands right now, and maybe even the energy around the team coming off of a bye week, getting ready for this Auburn game?
Cease, I'll let you have it first.
Well, here's the deal is I think they're going to be at the best point of the season, only because since the start, this was a top 10 team going in, but all those question marks, meaning quarterback and offensive line, really slowed this team down early along with injuries. But now they've solidified their lineup. They know what their offensive line is going to be like. They're pretty excited with the way they played the last 4 games. Of course, Calzada's, for good or bad, he's the quarterback. He started 6 games. I guess 5-6 games. And then you add in that they've got players that were hurt who were back, particularly at wide receiver, Lane, along with Chapman. So I think confidence-wise and health-wise, they're about the best. So when you look at this matchup, guys, that's why I think both teams have to feel real good about where they're at. You're right. A&M in an extra week, but sometimes Jimbo's lost that game coming off a bye week. And I think a lot of times if you win like Auburn didn't get any big injuries, confidence will override that open week that A&M had.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are curious to see if the A&M team that beat Alabama is really this A&M team, or if they were more like the teams that lost to Arkansas and lost to Mississippi State, because you're not really going to glean that much against the South Carolina team and the Missouri team that are at the bottom of the conference. Those were going to be sure wins, even if it wasn't the team that showed up to Alabama and beat the Crimson Tide. So this is the first real test that A&M has had since that Alabama game. And is this A&M team really that team that beat Alabama? Because if it is, there actually could be a shot that they could push this thing to the limit. And if the Iron Bowl comes down to Auburn winning, that A&M could push into that SEC title game spot. It's fun because we're actually talking about, other than maybe on the east side, what could happen on the west side in the SEC title game. And that's something a little bit different from years past. Cease, what do you got for these guys?
Yeah, I'm interested about I'm looking at this game. I think it's going to be decided in the trenches because I know, with Bigsby out, Auburn can run the ball. Not option quarterbacks, but dual threat quarterbacks have really given A&M problems in games they lose. You look at, they lost to Arkansas. I'm going back in past history. Dual threat quarterbacks have caused them trouble. And I feel that, A&M's strength is that defensive line. And as I mentioned, the offensive line is coming on. But when I look at this Auburn team and the outside looking in, I think they have the physicality to handle, to match themselves with A&M, whether it's running the ball or stopping the run. And then they have the veteran quarterback. I was wondering how you guys see that matchup in the trenches.
I think it'll probably decide the game, and I'll be interested to hear what Justin has to say, because you talked about the dual threat, and I feel like with Bo playing the way he is, a big part of that is that they've kind of incorporated the run, his running ability more into the game plan. The Georgia State game, they almost lost. That Bo got pulled and they put TJ Finley in for. I think he might have ran twice, and that might not have. Those 2 plays might not have even been design runs. They might have been scrambles. I think that Mike Bobo's kind of figured out how to best use Bo. But two, with the offensive line, it seems like things are finally trending in the right direction. That was a big concern during the 2020 season. Will Friend has gotten a lot of credit. We talked to Brandon Council, one of the starting guards after the Ole Miss win. I mean, he was giddy. He was like, I told you guys. He was like, I told you guys that we, just basically give us some time. And he talked about chemistry, that like with the pass protection, where it is right now, it's just a matter of these guys having played. A lot of those guys played together last year. And in 2020, Nick Brahms, the center was the only returning starter. So you had all those other guys trying to break in, trying to figure out how to play together. I think you're starting to see the real strides as far as that goes with that group. And then on the other side, the defensive line, I mean, Colby Wooden has been playing like a man possessed the last 2 games. So it's going back 3 weeks now. He has been named SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. He's played great. They've gotten some good production from guys like Eku Leota, TD Moultrie. So, yeah, I think that you're right to really center on the line play on both sides of the ball, because I think it's going to be really interesting. But, Justin, what's sort of your thoughts? And even, too, going back to Bo, the way he's been running.
Well, I'll start with the offensive line has played better. If Texas A&M strengthens its defensive line, that should be a concern for Auburn. One of the things that they haven't really been able to accentuate their offensive line the way they want to. It's like a domino effect because it goes back to the receivers haven't been stepping up, so they've been playing their best receiving tight end. I mean, Auburn fired their receivers coach, 5 games into the season. That was a major problem here that has been the wide receivers. So then you don't have a fullback out there. You know what I mean? You're running your pass receiving tight end out there. So the offensive line has had a lot of struggles, but it has gotten better because they did start using Bo, which they should have been doing from the beginning of the season. But after that LSU game, you guys saw the highlight where he was scrambling around, and everyone in the country saw that highlight that night, scrambling around, throwing a miracle touchdown. After that, they've really started using his legs more, and he's had four rushing touchdowns in the last 4 games, and he had two against Ole Miss, I'm pretty sure. So I mean they're doing a much better job of using Bo, and obviously that helps your running game with Tank Bigsby, going between the tackles when you're effective. Getting creative with stuff like that. They've gotten creative using Sean Shivers out of the backfield too. So the O-line is not good. They've been better, and it's just a matter of the way they've been able to kind of help hide the weaknesses by using Bo with his legs more, and using Sean Shivers out of the backfield more. I think they're doing that, but like you said, if B-line is a strength for Texas A&M, that could pose problems for Auburn for sure.
What about guys, on the outside looking in? I always remember, Bo coming in here as a freshman, getting that big win. But then I saw some TV games when A&M wasn't playing that he just really sucked on the road, so to speak. But now I look at his stats for this year, and I'm seeing not a lot of mistakes, even though I knew early in the year, some people were saying Finley would be the quarterback maybe by the time A&M got there. But when I look at his stats, what jumps out to me, just not a lot of major mistakes, 2 interceptions. I'm saying wow, what happened? Is that Bobo? Is that Harsin? By the way, I didn't think Harsin was a home run hire. When they hired him, I go, okay, that guy's okay. But, I thought Gus was pretty much an offensive genius. And here they're 6-2. So that's kind of a long question with about 3 prongs. But I didn't think Harsin was a home run hire, and I'm surprised at Bo Nix. And it looks like Bobo's doing a good job. So are those correct observations?
By the way, we're changing the name of this podcast to "Sucks on the Road," so to speak. So we'll move on. We'll move on from there. Y'all go ahead, guys.
Go ahead, Lee.
I was just gonna say I've got a lot of strong opinions about Bo Nix. His season this year, it really turned for him in that LSU game. You guys have got to remember, and a lot of your A&M listeners probably haven't followed how this season has gone for Auburn. That they went to Penn State and lost. Then they played Georgia State, and Bo got benched. He got pulled out of the game. Couldn't get anything going. Like you said, he had no runs. He was just trying to be a pocket passer, and it wasn't working. And then they went down to LSU, and he ran around like his hair was on fire, and it was amazing, and they won the game. And ever since then, they've really done a better job implementing him in the running game. And it's almost like they realized that week, hey, this is who Bo is. He's not going to be, we can't just trade his creativity for efficiency. We can't make him a pocket passer. We can't make him what he's not. We're going to turn him into, we're going to let him loose to be the up and down, wild man that he is. And I don't know. And my thing is, the thing that we'll never know is if they went down to LSU saying, hey, we're going to adjust our breakdowns more. Here's what you can do, Bo. We're going to let you loose. Or if Bo went down there and said, I got benched. I got nothing to lose. I'm going to run around and do what I used to do in high school. And but either way, like Jordan said earlier, this is the best stretch of his career. He played super efficient at Arkansas, and yeah, the road thing was his big, the monkey on his back, his whole career. The only win, I guess, was at Kyle Field that I would always point to say he at least did that. He at least beat Oregon at a neutral site. But yeah, there were a lot of times where he did play a lot worse on the road, like at South Carolina last year. But I think he's bucked that trend. I think he's done a good job of it this year. I don't know. What do you think, Jordan?
Well, I'm going to jump in here real quick and say, as the papers that cover the rival teams of both Alabama and Texas, I was wondering if monkeys were going to get brought up into this podcast today. So
I don't know.
Anyway, Go ahead, Jordan.
Wow.
Now I'm just totally off kilter. Totally
Yeah.
off kilter. No, I think Justin hit the biggest thing. I think with Bo, you hear with him that he always says he's a competitor. And, that's a little bit of coach speak. His dad's Patrick Nix, played at Auburn, longtime high school coach, college coach. But I really think that week that he got benched, I do kind of think it lit a fire under him. And I think whatever it was that made him decide, he was going to step it up, or, if he and the coaches kind of got on the same wavelength of what they needed to do to work, it's worked. I mean, he has figured things out. I wanted to answer Robert's question about Brian Harsin. I thought that, and I think Justin came up with this headline when he was hired. The headline we ran was out of the blue, since he was from Boise.
Oh, that's good.
I think that was Justin. So
Hey, that's a home run, man. Wow.
But that's how it felt. I mean, and Justin could probably speak to this too, but I hadn't really heard any kind of rumblings about, Brian Harsin. It was clear that the search was taking a while, and there were names that got hot and they got cold, and then you heard about them, then you didn't hear about them. But, a lot of credit to Brian Harsin with the questions that have been around him and the uncertainty and the fact he's never coached in the SEC. There was a lot of what I think would be called, justifiable, I guess concern would maybe be the best word to use, especially in his first year. How was he going to fit? How was he going to step in to an Auburn team that, has been on the cusp of, going back to the SEC championship since 2017, who just 2 years ago beat Alabama and Jordan Hare. This wasn't like a total rebuild, and you're hiring a guy that had never coached in the Southeast outside of a couple of years at Texas. But so far he's done a really good job. I think that there were some definite growing pains early on. And, that Georgia State game, I think had they lost that game, the conversations we would be having right now is like a 180. I mean, that we talked about it after the fact. That could have been the worst loss in Auburn program history. And now you're talking about a team that is on the cusp of maybe, playing for the SEC West, and at the very least stands right now number 12 in the nation. I mean, it's just wild. And again, I think a lot of credit goes to how Harsin has managed things, and we'll see if they're able to keep that up.
There's a consistency that he seems to bring, and that'll be big. That'll be what I'm looking for this week. It's like, don't get too high after beating Ole Miss, because ultimately you should have won that game anyway, right? And then go messing around losing at Texas A&M. He preaches this consistency, preaches this 1-0 mentality thing. It's boring, but it is what it is. And, sometimes you need to be boring. And I think this is a big week where he could prove that mentality, that 1-0 thing, all that coach speak really pays off. I think his whole thing is interesting. Like the path that you see, the path, the idea is, here's this guy, at Boise State who turned 3 stars into 5 stars, right? Okay, we need you to come to Auburn and turn 4 stars into 6 stars. because you're trapped between Alabama and Georgia. So it wasn't just the trendy ex-Alabama assistant, that they hired. They went and they did something else. They went and did something else. And so you're seeing it here. We'll see how recruiting goes eventually. That's obviously, I used to think that 99% of college football is recruiting, and now I think 100% of college football is recruiting. So we'll see how recruiting goes. But here you go, Travis. How about this? If Brian wins this Saturday, he'll have top 15 wins over Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M, and you could call him the poll assassin. How about that?
Oh no!
Oh no!
I want to ask,
how long were you sitting on that? Was that?
I was saying 3 straight wins over teams in the top 15 in the poll. What else?
That might be the headline we run.
Yeah.
I'll go Jimbo. Auburn's just a faceless team. They're all faceless, nameless. We just go out. We got to worry about us. We can't worry about the opposition. Auburn is faceless and nameless, and they got a nameless coach. So you should great.
After this podcast, I don't know if I should have put our corporate name at the beginning of it. I don't know if that's going to come up on some algorithm or
there could be a lot of openings in Lee Associates for sports people.
At Auburn and Bryan College.
Bryan College Station.
So guys, what else y'all need to know about Texas A&M and what's coming up for this game?
Two questions for you guys. You mentioned Zach Calzada. Just tell me a little bit about your impressions of him, and then off of that, just looking at this Auburn matchup, sort of your expectations, and if you guys feel like making predictions, have at it.
Yeah, I'll start. Zach Calzada is certainly a guy that's grown into the position. I think that by the second game, by the Mississippi State game, where he takes a safety at the end of the game when they have a chance to actually come down and have the ball at the end of the game, they fans were calling for Boast, the walk-on backup quarterback, just to kind of be like, what the heck, let's see what he's got. Then he goes out and beats Alabama in almost a nearly spotless game. I mean, he went 10 for 10 to start the game, and the only incomplete pass he had was actually the interception there at the end of the first half. Was really, really good, and kind of everybody jumped on board. In the last 2 games, it's been a little bit of a mixed bag. I know during Missouri, they wanted to throw the ball out to the flat a lot in screens and little wheel routes, and he's a guy who has an absolute cannon of an arm, but he'll use that cannon at short range and long range, and he just learning that touch. Even Jalen Weidermeyer, A&M's tight end, said the one thing he'd like to see him improve on a little bit is having those touch passes, whether that is a little bit of a fade or it is getting it over the defensive end into the flat. And so I think with the defensive line that A&M is facing this week in Auburn, and at times the offensive line has had trouble getting a push for A&M's running backs to get a little bit of space to run in, they might try to utilize some of those passes to the flats. And if he still is throwing it right into the hands of the defensive end or trying to take his head off with a 98 mile per hour fastball, it might not go so well, and it might look like some of the stop and start that they had against Missouri in the passing game. Of course, they could just run the ball the entire game and probably could have won that game hands down. I think along with the team, because this team has gone the way of the quarterback this year, if Zach Calzada is more like the guy that beat Alabama, I mean, the sky's the limit for A&M. If he's the guy more like that lost to Mississippi State and lost to Arkansas and struggled with consistency, struggled with accuracy, then I think it's going to be a tough one for A&M. Cease, what do you think?
I think it's a big point moving forward when you consider that he's going to go against Bo Nix and Matt Corral, whatever the hell his name is, in the next couple of years. But then when you consider that he's still going to have to make 4 or 5 plays probably for A&M to win these next 2 games. So I thought he overachieved against Alabama, and let's be honest, against Missouri and South Carolina, Travis could have quarterbacked and they'd have won by double digits. So I think this is really a telling time for Zach Calzada. He doesn't have to win the game, but he can't lose the game. And he's stared down some receivers, led to interceptions. He's missed guys. He throws the ball too hard. It might bounce off at the wrong time. So he's got a great running game. He's got all his wide receivers back. A&M's defense is playing well. So it's not so much, I think Calzada has to win the game. He can't lose the game. So I think a lot of things, I'm looking at the line of scrimmages. I think that's huge. I think Calzada is huge because I think you got to give Auburn a check with Nix. He's won here. See what happens. I will go with the home field, 4.5. I think this is a field goal game going in. The more I study it, just because there's enough going on both sides for these teams to really be ready to play this game. And in that instance, I'll go with the home team.
Yeah, and the other thing to point out that Cease did kind of point out is that this is one of the first games really all season that they've been 100% healthy. They lost almost all of their starting wide receiver core early on. Hez Jones isn't going to come back, but they got Caleb Chapman back, who's kind of their deep threat. Anaya Smith has been there, but Chase Lane was out 2 games, one of their veteran receivers. And so there was some growing pains with putting Damon Demas, a young guy in there, and Moose Muhammad, and who else? Jalen Preston is like on and off guy that's been done pretty well, but he kind of had to shake the rust off, it seemed like a little bit. Now they're going to have Chapman back. They're going to have Chase Lane back. Anaya Smith is going to be able to run his kind of normal slot type stuff. And then they have some guys now with experience in Demas and Jalen Preston that'll be able to slot in there at times. It'll be interesting to see how having that full wide receiver core back healthy 100% with 2 weeks of practice under their belt will do for them. I think that with them being healthy, I think A&M, I'll take A&M by a touchdown. I think it's still going to be close, but I think Sesma will get the week off this week as far as game-winning field goals goes, and it'll be by touchdown. What do you guys have?
I've kind of gone back and forth, but I feel like I've done that pretty much. It goes back to what Justin was saying, how every week we go, we'll learn a little bit more about this team. I'm giving the edge to Auburn. I think my pick was 24-19 in the paper that'll come out later. I don't know. I just have a feeling that they've kind of got a little momentum. I think that Ole Miss win, especially for the defense. I mean, the Ole Miss had so many opportunities to strike, and the Auburn defense did a really good job slowing them down. So I think it's going to be a very close game. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if A&M, especially being at home, could get the edge. But I just think that Auburn seems to have gotten things figured out, has a little bit of momentum, is feeling good. And Bo Nix is playing his best ball. So I'm going to give the edge to Auburn, but I think it's going to be a really exciting game.
Is it going to be chalk with you, Justin?
Well, I keep going back and forth, and of course, because it's Auburn, it's chaos. That's the nature of business. So last week when Auburn hosted Ole Miss, I picked. Everyone wanted to pick Ole Miss because of their offense, everything else. And I certainly did, but I thought, man, Auburn at home at night, coming off of a bye, should not lose to Mississippi schools. They should win this game. They should hold serve. And now I really want to pick A&M at home, coming off of a bye. To hold serve, but then I got 2 reasons. One, it's at 2:30. I'd love to hear what you guys think about what the energy in the atmosphere would be. But then the other thing is the road team always wins this game, and I don't know why. so I think I will pick Auburn 27-21 or something. But I do want to know: do you guys like it? Do you guys think it'll be electric? Like, what do you guys think the environment will be? Is everyone back on board, after that Alabama win, and just what do you think it'll be like?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is some level of, especially with the students having missed out some on last year with the COVID season and restrictions and things like that. I mean, you look at they were in the middle of losing to Mississippi State and taking safety sacks at the end of the game, and they already had people lined up pitching tents during the game for the next week's ticket pull for Alabama. The crowd has been great at Kyle Field this year, and that's why I think it's a little bit cliche to say the 12th man and they're going to be great and strong and everything. But I think actually, and Cease, you've been around a lot longer. You can tell me if I'm right or wrong this, but I think the crowd has had more of an effect on the game this season than in any of the 5 that I've been covering A&M, just because I think there is a little bit of that desire of what they missed out on last year with it being smaller crowds. What do you think?
Yeah, here's the deal is I asked Damani Richardson, he'd rather play at 2:30 or 6. He said he'd much rather play at 6. And I think there's no doubt players like playing at night. They get jacked up for that. Fans do. So I think Auburn catches a little break, that it's not a 6 o'clock game. That being said, is all you got to remember, when A&M played their 2:30 game last year against Florida and 25,000 was here, Dan Mullen, who might not be the coach that's much longer in Florida, said, it sounded like there was 50, had to be 50,000 people there. So that's how much the crowd is into it. So A&M will definitely have the home field advantage, but we've seen this before. The thing I'm always amazed at is if the other team does something, you can make, I don't care how your home field advantage is, if you make plays, you put the other crowd quiet. You can quiet the other crowd. And I can remember, Travis is right, the Alabama game was absolutely one of the top probably 4 atmospheres, in my time in the last, 20, 30 years. I can remember. I can't remember farther back than that, even though I was here. So the crowd will be an advantage, but not what it's would. And let's be honest, if you look at the media coverage, this is dead even. I mean, you just got 2 great schools.
I mean, as the only AP top, I don't think neither one of y'all have an AP top 25 vote, right?
Hey, easy.
Oh, you do?
Easy.
Oh, so we actually
I
have
do.
2. We have 2
Yes.
poll assassins on this podcast.
Travis
Yes.
didn't do his homework.
Yeah,
Oh.
sorry. There you go. Well, for me and Robert Cessna, for those of you watching on the Auburn paper website, you can find our stuff at theeagle.com and click the little Aggie Sports link, and you'll find everything from the A&M perspective. Robert tweets from @Aggie_sports. I'm @Travis_L_Brown. And for our readers, Justin and Jordan, where can they find your stuff?
Yeah, go to oanow.com and @AUblog on Twitter, and I'm @JordanDavisHill on Twitter. Lee, hit me up with your Twitter username. I can't remember.
Oh, it's by Justin Lee, like a byline. BY Justin Lee. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've been blocked. I think I've been blocked like the rest of Auburn.
Jordan Halloween. Is that still the?
Nah, since we're past Halloween, we're back to
Gotcha.
Davis Hill. But
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
We'll have something cooking for Christmas.
There you go. There you go.
Don't follow me.
Well, big thanks.
My Twitter's just follow Travis.
Yeah. Well, actually, so someone I got sent a link. Someone from the Big 12, one of our buddies, they had a student who was compiling information for AP top 25 voters, and they said Robert Cessna had your email, and then it literally just listed my Twitter account for you because I am just your secretary and voice. So that's apparently what is happening there. But anyway, hey, thanks so much for joining us, Jordan and Justin. Thanks so much for watching on whatever website you're watching on in the Lee Enterprise Network. And if you're watching on our site, we'll see you next week. And I'm sure these guys will see the Auburn fans next week as well. Thanks so much, everybody.